Good morning, my dear boys. Let us continue with our chapter 2, Data Abstraction. Today we'll see what is a list and what are tuples and how to access a multi-part item. Okay, let's go into our video. So let's have a quick recap of what an abstract data type is. So abstract data type, I told you it is a collection of constructor and selector. When it comes to constructor, it is used to create an object and we are bundling 2 or 3 pieces of different information. That is, we are collecting information about a particular data. Okay. Selector is we extract only the essential part from it. So this is what we call as constructor and selector. Next is your list. Okay, so to implement the concrete level of abstraction, so concrete level of abstraction, I told you it is a direct implementation of a program. It is a direct implementation. So in order to implement that, Python is providing a compound structure called pair or list. Okay, so to implement the concrete level abstraction, we use this list. Now let us compare array, list and tuple. So with the example picture that I have given here, let us see. Can you see this picture? It is a box of chocolate which has only Ferrero Rocher chocolate. A same type of chocolate. So all the chocolates will be in the same flavor, right? So it is array is something, a collection of similar data type. So which means it can have either only integer numbers or only the string or only floating point values or only characters. It should be like only similar data type. Either 5 numbers or 5 decimal numbers or 6. And the number may vary, but the type should be the same. That is what we call as array. Collection of similar data type. Next is list. List is also collection of similar data type, but it can be changed. So see the picture here. It is a box of chocolate. It is a box of chocolate which has different flavors in it. So see here, there's an yellow color chocolate which may be a mango chocolate or any different butterscotch, and it is a white chocolate and this is another one chocolate which has only almonds, or it can have cashews. So the variety varies, but it is also a chocolate. So collection of similar data type, but we can change, we can include 1 or 2 extra in this list. Next is your tuple. Tuple is also collection of similar data type, but it cannot be changed, which means once you fill up all the chocolates and wrap it up, and when you seal it, if you're sealing it, will you be able to change the particular chocolate from that particular box? No, you will not be able to move from this box to that box. So that is not possible when you seal it up. So that type of boxes we call as tuple. So in tuple, the things we cannot change, that is the values cannot be changed. Once you define a tuple with a number set of numbers, that remains same. That remains same. So for example, in list I have numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what I call as a list. Okay, but in the next case I say that I don't want 4, but instead of 4 I want to change this to 6. So I can do that in list 1, 2, 3, 6 and 5. So I can update it. So I'm updating it in the list. This is list. But in tuple, once you assign the value as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is permanently stored there. You cannot change it as we did for list. You will not be able to edit the tuple that you have created. So that is what this is meant. Okay, you understood about this, right? So we'll see what is a list. So list, generally we place the list values in square brackets separated by commas. So see, this is an example. I have written 10, 30, 1. So I have written into square brackets, separated the values with a comma. Okay, so such expression, so this type of expression we call as a list literal. We call as a list literal. Okay, and list can store multiple values. So see here a character is. I told you, right? We can change one or two. This is what here. Here a character, a string is there, floating point value, integer, and inside a list I have created another one list. Okay, so we can store multiple values inside a list. So you can also have a list inside, even here inside this you can have another list. So that is not a problem under list category. Clear? So see, this is the example. When you write some, when you enter the values, so this is a list and I have entered with square brackets separated by comma. Okay, so normally when I do this way, I'll address this value with an index position. I'll address this value. Generally, for example, you boys have a particular roll number and a name. I address you people by your name and or your roll number or your exam number, whatever it is. I address you by that. So same way in list, if you want to address this particular 10, you need a name. So I have a index position. That is, this position is 0, this is 1. Okay, so this is your index position. So if I say list of 0, my 10 will be printed. If I say list of 1, 20, it will go across. If you have 30, 40, then you will say list of 2, list of 3. But you always start the index value with a 0. You always start it with a value 0. Okay, so this is all about list. So next is your tuple. So even tuple is a comma separated sequence, but you use a parenthesis. In list you use square brackets. In tuple you use parenthesis. Same way you separate it using comma. It is also similar to list, but the only difference is you will not be able to change. The elements cannot be changed at all. You cannot update any value in a tuple. So even here you address it using a index position. See here, representation of a color red, blue and green. Okay, so and it is separated by commas and written in parentheses. Here again 1, 2. Again you always call this using the index position. For this it is index 0 and for this it is 1. So when you say nums of 0, my value 1 is printed. Nums of 1, my value 2 is printed. So this is called as tuple. And next comes your accessing the multi-item. So multi-item is, what do you mean by multi-item? It is different types of items, okay, different kinds of item, different kinds of values. So which in this case it is very complex to handle. Okay, these are complex data. So if example, if they tell me to record few data of a particular class which has a strength of 60, I can manage. But if they tell me to handle for 2400 children, will I be able to manage it all as whole? No, I will not be able to manage. So those type of things is called as complex data. And see, I have given example. So under a person, I have given a name, his first name, his last name, then his mobile number, then the email ID, which is very difficult for me to by heart. Okay, so I cannot remember those things properly. So in this particular case, I will not be able to do anything in a proper way. So since it is little complex, I'll take much time. I'll get confused a bit. In order to avoid this, we use a structure called class. We create a class. Okay, we create a class to solve this particular. So see, example, same thing. If you have a school with 2400 children from standard 1 to standard 12, if you make all the children sit in one particular auditorium and if you start taking class, will you be able to understand anything? For example, if I'm taking a 12th standard syllabus and the first standard child is also sitting in the same room listening to my portion, will he be able to understand anything? No, that is not possible. That is making the things complex. So in order to that, I separate class wise. So first standard, you have separate syllabus, separate teachers. Second, third, same way for different subject. We have different teachers so that it will be easy for you to understand and easy for them to teach you as well. Same concept is used here. So this is the class structure. So here I myself have created the first name, last name, it may be ID or phone number, then the email. So I've created a class name, person is the class name, and I've created it, and then these are the values that I need to include. So these are multi-part items which will be in constantly here. Whenever I require this particular 4 thing, I'll call this class and I can take it up. Instead of putting it as a list, instead of assigning it in a list and writing 100 lines of code for 100 children, instead of that I execute this class once. So only first time I'll write this set of code. Next time I'll call only person. I need not write the entire thing again and again. When I call person, automatically this class will be called and automatically I can enter all the data of the children and students. So this is how you access a multi-part item. So when you are handling complex data, you always use a class. You always use a class. Okay, so we can define a class based on the data and functions and you can work on it. Okay, so from all the above example, we have come to a conclusion that the beauty of data abstraction is we can treat the complex data in a simple way, right? So abstraction is something handling only the necessary data by leaving off the unwanted information, right? So in complex cases, we leave off the unwanted thing, we select only the required items that we need and put it in a class and we access it easily. So with this we'll complete chapter 2, data abstraction. Thank you.